is going on, guys? It's Rogue. I'm back. You should have seen this one coming. So I'm going to give you 2 metas that you can use now and when transfers open to take out Nunatak, the new Ice Wyvern boss on Ragnarok. Now, what I did here was I spawned in a set of 150 tamed Rexes, something you could tame off the map now, okay? And I applied all 88 points that you can level into them, and I put a 124 Ascendant saddle on these Rexes. Now, some of the stuff I want to point out is this is a long fight, guys. This fight is about endurance more than damage, I would say. You're going to need a health pool to survive this fight, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, these 150 tame Rexes, they were all right. They got through Gamma. Beta was very close, as you will see. They would not get through Alpha. Okay? Now, let me bring up some stats on the screen. The Ice Worms have 5,000 health. Beta Worms have 10,000 health. And the Alpha Worms have 15,000 health. Also, there's 4 worms that spawn on Gamma, 5 that spawn on Beta, and 6 that spawn on Alpha. Now, as you've seen right there, that was them taking out the Gamma Dragon, guys. Now, I'm not going to run the full fight except for the last one, guys, because it is a long fight. So I'm just going to run the clips of them killing him, but the last fight on the video will be the full encounter. Now, I thought for a second that maybe putting them into separate groups would help, because you could separate them out in the arena, so one group would take the damage while the other wasn't. That didn't really seem to do much. This is the beta run here, guys. Now, every time the dragon lands, you will do roughly 20% of its health, and then it'll fly off, and you'll have to wait for it to land again, and you'll do 20% more of its health. So roughly it's going to jump up and land 5 times during this fight, and all the time that it's in the air, it's constantly bombarding you with attacks while you just stand there or fight ice worms. Now, this is the health on the Rexes after the beta fight, guys, with the standard 150 tames. Okay, barely even made it. I think I even lost 1 or 2 of them. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to spawn in some level 900 Rexes. However, the stats are what are important here, guys. See, we're popping Rexes that come out with 1900 melee on hatch. So all you really need to do when transfers open is get a pair of 1900 or 1500 melee on hatch Rexes, pump all your points into health, and now you've got a set of Rexes geared towards this fight specifically. You need the health pool, guys. You have to have, I'd say, at least 50 to 60k health on the Rex to survive this fight decently. Now I'm gonna let this play for a second so you can just kind of see how this goes with the Rexes. They absolutely annihilate the worms in seconds. So that means if you guys want to do alpha now, you're going to need to get yourselves a tamed set of 150 Therizinos. Now, all of these Therizinos are 150 tames with 88 levels pumped in. The stats have been brought up to 15k health, with the rest of the points pumped into melee. So they're sitting around 700 melee. Now, I tried it with 10 cakes, I tried it with 20 cakes, I tried it with 25 cakes, guys. And every time they came down to about, well, the first few times they didn't make it, but when I put 25 in, they were down to about 10% health at the end of it. So you drop 30 cakes in per Therizino, and I believe that works out to something like 480 cakes or so. But it works. You guys want to do alpha now with ease, then drop 30 cakes into 150 tamed set of Therizinos. You cannot bring the Yudi in. It's just like the Alpha Dragon. It will aggro to the bigger dino in the arena. So if you bring the Yudi in, it will aggro right to you. Now, you probably want to bring a Pyro in. Now, guys, I'm also doing this fight in standard mode. I'm not in GCM or anything, so I can die. The arena is very forgiving. There's absolutely no damage in here at all, unless you get hit by something from the dragon or the worms. But if you just stay out of the way, guys, which is very, very easy, you will have no problem. Now, I just sit here, I let the Theries run out there and do their thing. However, the better option, guys, is to jump onto one of the Theries, which I do near the end, somewhere halfway through this fight. I'll jump on one and I whistle them all to follow that one Thery. The whole group will be following that one Thery, and that keeps them from splitting up, guys. And you don't want them splitting up, because what happens is the worms come out of the ground, they split up, you get 1 or 2 Theries on one of the worms, which just isn't really enough to kill it fast enough, and the whole other pack's on the other side of the arena. So if you group them all up to follow each other, they kind of move in a unit, wiping out all the worms one by one very, very quickly. That seemed to work the best, and I totally suggest that that's how you do it. Now, once transfers open, guys, this is a whole different story. We're going to have the Beast Rexes in here that you can pump health pool into, because you're going to need to survive a long-ass fight taking damage. I think that's what they've done, guys, is made it that you're going to need a health pool now in order to survive this fight, because you kind of just have to stand around taking a beating until he decides to land again. And yeah, and so like I was saying, guys, when transfers open, we're going to be able to bring in Beast Theries and Beast Rexes, and this fight will be an absolute joke, just like the rest of them. So I hope this helps, guys. I'm going to let this fight completely play out so you can witness just how long for one it takes, and just see exactly how it goes. So with that being said, guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. Remember to tune in every Monday for the official weekly trade report, which gives you all the new mutations and colors that have come to the market in the previous week. Information comes from the New Life Discord. Also, I will mention that these Therizinos have a 124 saddle on them. And with all of that, guys, have yourselves an excellent day.